Alright, well, welcome everyone. This is a new product that I'm showing off today. It is the PinOne mini machine. Inside of this device has the PinOne mini inside of it, and then I just put a housing around it, added some buttons, and a plunger, so you kind of have an all-in-one little pinball machine that you can use to play pinball on your PC. And it's super easy. It's just plug and play pretty much. There's nothing you have to do to configure it. However, it is fully configurable. It's fully compatible with DOF too, which is cool. And I've added some new features to the PinOne Mini to allow it to work really well with DOF. I just wanted to show off a couple of the different features that it has. Obviously, there's the black one, which you see is plugged into the computer right now. All the buttons are lighted up. They has cell lines built into it, which just gives a really nice little feel. Plunger, it's really heavy, so even when you pull the plunger back and pull forward, it really is able to sustain that really well. And then there's the stainless steel version, which is a little bit heavier because the stainless steel is quite heavy actually, and you can see that there. So it's a beast, but it's comfortable to hold. So you can have your hands on top of it like this. It works really well like that. You can also, if it's on your lap, you can put your hands like this. There's a nice contoured edge on these metal pieces that allow you to just hold it like this really comfortably, and then you can of course pull it back. It has an accelerometer built inside of it, so you can actually do your movement back and forth and have that affect the table. And configuring it is really easy. There's a lot of things you can do, but I'll just go over the basics as to what you want to do to get this thing going. So you connect, you'll go to your plunger initially and just calibrate it here in this part of the tool, and you can kind of see it. It should be working right out the gate just like this, but at any point you probably want to turn on this push button unmin. That'll allow you to actually have an extra button when you push it in like that, and then you can say which button it pushes. It's defaulted to 24. This average readings, I recommend putting that to a pretty high number like 60 or 100. That'll just allow you to not have as much jitter on the actual plunger device as well. And then when you click the calibrate button, plunger button, it'll just say, hey, you got 5 seconds. Push it in all the way, pull it all the way, and then it will actually say, okay, I'm all done. Click OK, and you're set. And that's all there is to it for the plunger calibration. Then you send the calibration, and it'll save it, and you're all set. The other thing you might want to change in here is the accelerometer. So in the accelerometer now you can kind of see it moving back and forth. In this particular device, the orientation of the USB is facing right and the pins are facing up, so we're going to set that. And then the other thing you can do is just record the dead zone, record the tilt value. So this probably isn't necessary to do, but if you record the dead zone, you'll see it really doesn't move around very much. And then the tilt value, so this is just how much do you need to move it before it hits the actual tilt value. You can get that set up, and then the max value you shouldn't have to touch. And now your calibration should be all set, so you can save that. Then the next thing is settings, and you saw that I was pushing the buttons and firing the solenoids. In order for that to work, you need to say button 1 to trigger output 1, and then button 3 to trigger output 2. So output 2 is set up to the right solenoid, and then output 3 is the left solenoid. So you just set that up. Here you can also set the plunger settings, but you already checked those. And that's actually pretty much it. The only other thing you might want to adjust is in the main outputs. If you don't like the lights flashing when you hit the buttons, then you can change these lighted, all the light show ones, from medium to high, or you can just turn it to normal and the buttons won't be lit up at all. So that's for you to decide, but that's just another option that you can configure. And after that, you're ready to play pinball. As a matter of fact, you can see on my website, if you go to my actual configuration, or my documentation on the website, It shows you how to configure this for Steam, and actually I have already configured it myself, so you can just copy and paste. When you go to Steam calibration, you can just copy and paste those values, and it'll work immediately with Steam. Everything will be set up, the plunger, buttons, everything. So you can get started playing FX3 in like just a couple minutes. And that's pretty much it. It's a great product. I'm really happy to offer it to people and to allow anyone to play pinball on their computer now and get kind of a really full experience. One other thing I didn't mention is it is fully DOF compatible. So if you go through the trouble of setting up and configuring DOF, which I have instructions on how to do that in my site, it has one other feature too, which I did not show you. I'm going to do that real quick. In the settings, under the main outputs, output 1 and 2 are your solenoids. You can set these to this new feature called shared. And this is actually good for the PinOne Mini. It's good for any setup that you have, though. And if you do that for the solenoids, then when DOF sends a signal to trigger the solenoid, and if that solenoid is already held down by this flipper button, for instance, it'll actually look and say, oh, do I have any other outputs in this shared model that are not activated right now? And if it doesn't, if it sees one that's not activated, it'll actually trigger that one instead. So that way, even though you only have 2 solenoids, you still have a high chance of all the feedback working on the table at all times. And this is really useful also if you have even like a 6 solenoid setup, because when the ball is bouncing between two pop bumpers on the top of the table, and you'll notice that sometimes it misses some triggers because it's just bouncing maybe on one solenoid over and over again. And if you have it set to shared, then it'll actually be able to send that output to all the available solenoids in your table. So cool feature, and definitely a fun toy, I think. Again, hope that a lot of people are able to enjoy it, and I hope I'm able to make them fast enough for all the people who want to enjoy it. So enjoy, everyone, and I'll talk to you next time.